Hello, welcome pen friends. Welcome to another ink profile. Starting with the first of the Taccia inks that came in Ink Flight 35. They're awesome inks, and I want to go through each one because this is one of my favorite ink brands. And I apologize for the pronunciations because I listened to the Google lady and I just can't make myself say it right, so I'm just going to have to do my best. It's Sharaku Koiame. And these inks actually are inspired by 18th century Japanese artists. So this is the first one that we're going to cover. And I did talk about it a little when I did the Ink Flight video, which I'll link down below. But I was only using a broad nib when I did that, and I didn't do a thorough review. So I wanted to go back and do that. Now this is described as a warm yellow brown, but I really see it more as orange. I don't know if you will too, or if that's just going to vary as we start comparing. We might be able to see it closer. But I started out in the Tomoe River 68 GSM Bond Travel Gear notebook. So here it is. I started with the broad nib. Well, I already had that filled from the other day. And let's talk about availability. Right now, it seems to be widely available. The place I jotted down was Venice 1938 because I love the fact you can get a 4 ml sample for $3. And then the bottle retails, the 40 ml bottle retails for $20 just about everywhere. So, but check your favorite places because a lot of the places are starting to pick this up. 30 seconds to dry in that broad nib, but I did see some nice shading. I was pleased with the shading in every nib so far that I've used it in. All three of them, the shading was really pretty. So then in the 1.5 Goulet stub, same thing. I got nice shading, a real nice variation in the color. 30 seconds to dry. And then in the fine nib, I think I must have been writing really fast here because when I went over here to do the printing, it was better. It did more shading and it was darker. It just looked better. You could probably see that even from a distance there. It was approximately 20 seconds to dry. And my first impressions were just real favorable. But I liked all of them. And at the end, I'll show you what I'm going to be covering next and what the others look like in case you missed that other video. But it just has beautiful shading. It, to me, is more like orange. But that happens a lot with pretty browns that kind of lean toward orange. So, and it's just got that distinctive Taccia flow. You know, it flows really well out of the pens, and it did remind me of KWZ Monarch, so that kind of upped it in my mind. Let's see, here is the water test, and we could see from the chromatography right here that we might have a little bit remaining. See how it showed a little kind of a blue line almost that remained, and then it went up into peach and yellow. It's just so interesting how that is. And then let's see, let me just hold this up. I love the ink splatter. It showed quite a bit of variation there too, all the way from almost, well, not quite yellow, but the light orange all the way up to a kind of a more brown. And the darker parts do remind me of platinum mix-free earth brown, and we'll look at that on the panel in a minute. So let's go right on to Rhodia 80 GSM dot grid paper. Let's see, I've got it kind of, just make sure we can see it, and I'll probably be moving around a little. Here it is with the broad nib, 20 seconds to dry. We still get some shading, and not quite as dramatic as it was on the Tomoe River paper, but it's still there. And then in the stub nib, nice shading and quite a bit of variety. It just goes from light to quite dark. 15 seconds to dry, a little bit faster in that nib. And then down in the Lamy fine nib, I'm still seeing shading, which I think is really, really good. I especially when I printed, but I could pretty much always see it. Let me hold that up. When I printed, I could really see the distinct shading around the O's and really tops and real lot of variety there. 20 seconds to dry. I thought that was interesting. That Lamy fine nib's doing quite well. Let's see. I meant to leave out the. Yeah, let's leave this out. I'd really like to have it ready because we're gonna be comparing as we go here, so at least have it available. And then let's look at the CVS Caliber notebook. This is an inexpensive little notebook that I use quite a bit of these. Here it is in the broad nib, about 20 seconds to dry, not bad. You lose some of the shading on this kind of paper. It isn't quite as prevalent. You still sort of get it, but not the same. Not the same at all as your Tomoe River and your Rhodia. And the stub nib, 25 seconds to dry. It was still smearing at 20. I guess it just pooled up at the end of that X though. So it might still be pretty much dry by 20. And then in the fine nib, 20 seconds more or less, it was dry in that too. And it was really not all that great in these two nibs. I liked it best on CVS in the broad nib, and that happens quite often. At the end, we'll look on the backs. But for this one, I did do it on the, I did do the ink samples or the writing samples on Georgia Pacific 20-pound copy paper, because that's something that a lot of people use, or have to use, I think. So in the broad nib, we get quite a bit of feathering. Let's see if you can see that. There is quite a bit of feathering, but it's not horrible. It's just there. I'd say about 15 seconds to dry in that broad nib. And then in the stub, it was much faster. Apparently that one isn't flowing quite as wet as the broad right now. So as you can see, you lose a lot of the shading on this, but this is cheap paper. This is just paper that we sometimes are stuck with at work. The fine nib, 12 seconds to dry, and then we lose a little bit of the feathering. It isn't quite as bad. But the good thing is, no bleed through. I was surprised, actually. It is a lighter ink color, though. Still good and saturated, but no bleed through whatsoever. So that's something for you to note if your ink choices involve this type of paper, you know, a forced situation. Okay, so we looked at the back of that one. Just as a refresher, I did show this the other day, but this was what it looked like on the cream colored Tomoe River paper, which it is quite a bit different. Let's see if we can pull them over here and then just kind of make it bigger. So it really is complimentary on the cream colored Tomoe River 68 GSM paper. And I scratched this out because apparently Anderson Pen sent me that it was back in stock there. So that's a dangerous game I'm playing, putting my email in to see, because I can't buy orange ink. I was just looking. I have orange ink. I have about a half a bottle of pumpkin, and I have Pen Addict Fire on Fire. So that's this is something like for the future or for something. Anyway, that's my story. Okay, we'll look at this again when I talk about what I like and don't like about it. Let's look at the backs of these pages though, just real quick, if I can make it quick. I already tried to do this video and Coco somehow managed to jump up here and turn the camera off. I mean, so quick, it was lickety-split. So this is take two. There is no bleed through, of course, on the CVS Caliber, just an ordinary ghosting, which isn't bad at all, I don't think. And on the Rhodia paper, I wouldn't expect any. Just a tiny bit of seepage where I put it on real heavy with the broad nib. And no bleed through, just a normal ghosting, not even hardly any of that. That's good paper. And then let's see where we can peek back. Let's look over here. Where I wrote was right here. So there's normal ghosting, no bleed through, of course, on the Tomoe River paper. We could go back, but we're looking then at something else. You can see the ghosting if you look between where I wrote, but it's just normal. I wouldn't call it anything but normal. Okay, so I ran out of the little swatch booklet there. We used up the last page, so I'm just kind of going through it myself still, though. That shows that I ended up liking that quite a bit. So saturation on this ink, by the way, I really like it. Too bad I'm not in the market for orange ink, because I would definitely purchase it if I was. 7 on the saturation, you know, it was good. The flow was great. I gave it like an 8.5. The shading, okay, I had originally put 6, but now I want to kind of up it to 7. It was really good. No bleed through at all. Feathering only on copy paper. Dry time was probably even a little bit better than average. A little bit faster than average. Sheen, I didn't see sheen or halo or shimmer. Overall, I gave it a 8.5. That's because I love how these inks perform, and I love this color. This color reminded me so much of that elusive KWZ Standard Monarch. And we already went over the rest of the availability. It's really widely available still. So let's look at the comparison panel. I think that's going to be interesting, I hope. Whoops, it will be if we get our camera back to normal. Okay. Okay, so right in the middle is our ink of the day. It's our Taccia Sharaku, that's the name of the artist, Koiame. And I guess you could probably see why, to me, it seems orange. And yet we've got some other inks on here that, well, they go toward brown. So you can kind of see that's the way it is with these ink colors. Because to me, Quebeco Sunrise Orange looks browner than today's, but they did have a lot in common. So this is kind of all over the place. Platinum Mixed Free Earth Brown looks more red in a way, but it does have that brown in it, you know. What to say about these? Everything that's on this panel represent colors that I really, really like. I was crazy about Colorverse Martian. I would have probably sold something to buy some of that, except that it's just so expensive and I have a lot of ink to use. I could probably live on samples forever. But that was a beautiful shader as well. And it's got that tone that's so nice. That's very, very similar to the KWZ Standard Monarch. Let's see. Well, this is the J. Arbonne, the shimmer ink, the Coraline d'Egypte. And that's really pretty too. It's not by any means is it a match. Up above it's Twisby Orange, which is much more of a traditional orange, but it's deeper than the bright, bright ones. And we're going to look at those. I got a whole handful of those, including another Taccia Orange, or ink that is much more orange. Oh my goodness. I think I'm trying to talk fast because Coco is being sort of managed right now by Manuel, but he hears me talk. He was fast asleep and he came running to be involved with the ink profile. So Pure Pens. This is from the Celtic set. I can't wait to do this one. I really think that's going to be a favorite too. It's really pretty. And then of course Diamine Autumn Oak. Gosh, they're all such pretty inks. I don't know. I probably shouldn't have put this one on here, the Platinum Mixed Free Earth Brown, but there was something about it that still reminded me of it. So let's look at what would be, to me, the typical crayon orange would be this one, Taccia Dye Orange. And I've got more than one, I think. Yeah, I've got more than one that falls in this area. So that's how that compares. You see how much brighter that is even than the Twisby Orange? Which, the Twisby Orange, oh, that's beautiful too. I really need to stick to samples because I love every ink almost. There's very few that I don't like. So here's whoops, I'm on the opposite end. Here's another one that's very classic, you know, kindergarten color, crayon color orange. Robert Oster Fire on Fire, amazing ink. It's a little dry. It doesn't flow quite the way the Taccia ink does, but it's so pretty. It's worth it to find a pen that it goes with. So there's that one. And then here's Monteverde Topaz. I thought this had a lot in common with that one. I think I just got that in from a pen friend, a sample. So I'm just getting to know this one, and it looks like I used I do better now when I just pick up my ballpoint pen to do this part. But I forgot, so I didn't do that. Okay, here's a deeper orange, Robert Oster Orange Zest. Beautiful. Much closer to Twisby Orange if you're in the market for that. So see, it's not really at home on this panel until you get up there near that one. Oh, Diamine Pumpkin. That's the one where I have a little half bottle left in the 30 mil. That's a really, really pretty orange with really great shading. But it's not, now when you get side by side with these bright, bright ones, then I can kind of understand why it's being called yellowish brown. Yeah, it makes sense. let's see, I thought I had habanero on the panel. This is Noodler's Habanero, very warm, very reminiscent of today's Taccia ink, and yet it's brighter somehow. It really is. It's got more yellow in it, I think. Oh, here's another shimmer ink. This is Diamine Inferno Orange. Gorgeous ink. Not a match by any means, but certainly made me think of it. And then getting a little redder, a little more toward away from today's is Robert Oster Terracotta. This is new to me as well, in sample form from a pen friend. And thank you to everyone who's sent samples. It's just an amazing thing. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for that. Boy, I can't get over how much I like this overall color family group. So I already did the Nick Stewart technique. Let's just look at it though, for anybody who didn't see that other video. It did remind me so much of KWZ Monarch, and when I flipped back in this book, I often, for some reason, leave spaces, and I had left a space, so I did today's, the Taccia, the other day I did it right below Monarch, and you can see there is a difference in the two inks, but they really reacted almost the same. So I thought, I'm going to put this, well, if I have any to harvest, I don't have any left in the vial, and that's how it should be. That's what I'm going to be doing, emptying these vials. I will have to harvest out of whatever I don't finish writing pen pal letters. I want to try to put in my little vintage Waterman's 52, because that's where I was so impressed with the Monarch, and I want to see how that compares. I just haven't had a chance to do that yet. And with the little baby kitten running around, it's like, it's a wonder I get any inks, any pens inked up. Okay, so I wanted to try to keep this short, and I'm not doing a very good job, but this is going to be the next one that I'm going to profile. It's kind of a teal, and it's the Taccia. It's out of that same group from the Ink Flight, December 2019 Ink Flight. Let's see where it is. We'll read what it's about here. Okay, it says Hokusai. Okay, I'm sorry about the pronunciations. I just can't seem to do it. Is known for painting landscapes of Mount Fuji. This dark teal has a brownish sheen. It is gorgeous. That's all I know. It's very unique. It's got all kinds of stuff coming out. So that'll be next. But let's go ahead. We'll put that down, and then we'll try to see what other ones came. So lip color, pink beige. They're all Taccia inks. And if you saw the other video, I apologize. This is going to be a little bit of a repeat. And here is another one. This is, what did they say? This was terracotta? I think, yes. This warm terracotta red has earthy richness. Yeah, that's really pretty. Now, it's a long ways from today's. There's today's. See how it's wicked red compared to that one, but okay. But I just want you to see what all is coming, what's going on. This one is beautiful. Then it might be a little much coming out of a nib if you're writing letters or whatever, but it's gorgeous anyway. It's just a bright pink. This, I didn't quite think that through very well. Okay, two more. This one here, which is Hokusai. Okay, I'm not even going to try. It's Taccia, and there's the name, but it's just really pretty. Nice blue. Doesn't look at all like the teal one, though. Oh, look, I made a cross. Okay. And then this is the one that I think means chocolate, the brown one. Dark and chocolatey. Rich brown. Let's stick with English since I just can't seem to do the Japanese at all. That's gorgeous. And that looks like it has a little bit of semi-permanence too. So that's nice. Okay, so these are the 7 that came in that flight. This is the one we did today. Huh. Those two are not really similar. This actually will appeal, I think, to people who like a more subdued color, but I can imagine that's going to look great in a stub. I can't wait to find out. And this is all part of what I really like, getting back to basics, getting really into each one of these. So I have to focus and do that. I want to. That's my goal. So I'll bring you along and you watch if you are interested. So I'll come back with this one. Thank you very, very much for listening to my scatteredness. I'm just afraid the cat's gonna get loose any minute and come and shut me off. It's like he knew how to turn it off. I don't know how, but he pressed the black square faster than I could grab him. So let me know if you want to, or how you feel about today's, and I'll be interested in any comments on it. I thought it was really, really nice. I'd already kind of delved into it a little, but I thought, let's see it on all the papers. Let's find out whether it works on copy paper. And really, it's a well-behaved ink. So let me know what you think if you'd like, and I hope you're having a great day. Bye for now.